What's going on, people? What is going on, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all, and I mean all ages? This is the Heavy Hitters Live on a Wednesday night. I am your host, the sixth man, the Shogun, K Styles in the building. And to my stage, what I call it, stage right today, we got Senator Palpatine, Mad Mike, Sports in the building.
Right.
And right below us, we have the first round pick, the minister, Jew Talk Sports in the building.
Yes, sir.
And we got a couple special guests that so graciously with us with their presence today. To my stage right, we have the tribal chief, Roman Tomashoff. I did it right this time because last time I butchered
Ah.
Hey, I always appreciate when people get it right.
And we have Mark Schaefer. We got what's the nickname?
Oh, you got it right. You got it right. Oh boy.
Oh yeah, I'm on the road tonight, y'all. I'm on the road.
I'm impressed. Nobody gets it right the first time.
Hey man, I try, man. I try. Yeah, thanks, sometimes I butcher the simplest names. But Mike, what nickname we gonna give Mark tonight?
You know, I think this is it's an uncommon name. Since he said he's a Seahawks fan, the first thing that comes to mind is that I'm gonna call him the boss. And I think you know why. I think it's fitting to have the boss. So I'm gonna be real. Most white guys are bosses, so that's for one. But you have the biggest boss of them all. Hey, I'm about that action, boss.
Yeah,
right? I'm about that action, boss. So we got the boss man here, the big bad boss man, Mark. What is it?
Schaefer.
Okay, I got that right.
Well,
the big boss.
Brown says,
the big boss.
Be the boss.
We got the boss and the tribal chief with us today. Hey man, we got a good conversation coming y'all way. So Mike, let's go ahead and shout out the people that's in here already. What we call it? We call it the what?
Roll call.
All right. So today's roll call, we kicking it out with we got About Whatever in here. We got Sherman Wood, Robert Ponder, Lee 85, Auntie Pam is in the building, John St. Clair, Vincent Moore, Eric Mack, Fred Butts, AFN's Big Ant in the building. We got Old Chicken Hauler. I still gotta ask why the hell you call
don't.
But that's our peoples right there. We got Michael Walker, Smooth C78, and Keyshawn Vlad. So as y'all
I got questions about that name. How the hell you have a Russian and an American name together? Keyshawn Vlad, like how that makes I'm just gonna leave it alone. We're just gonna leave it alone.
Leave it alone, Mike.
We've done enough. We've done enough at this point. So
look. You rather have a name like that than what these celebrities be naming their kids now. So we good.
All right, let's get to it.
All right. We already kicking off with a $2 super chat. Damn, Fred, let us get to the conversation first, but we definitely appreciate $2. Michael Penix will be the next superstar. And since Fred Butt so graciously let us segue into the conversation in itself, let me ask the tribal chief and the big boss to graciously give us their thoughts on the Atlanta Falcons picking up. And if y'all didn't know, they are Washington Husky fans as well. So they're going to give us the 4-1-1 on Michael Penix and Bralen Trice. What, fellas, what do y'all think about the Falcons pulling this off in the draft, man?
So the first thing I did when I got the text that Michael Penix was heading to the Falcons, I just actually, I swear I dropped my phone and I went, whoa, like this is actually happening. Because first of all, I said this back in the middle of February that I really wanted to see the fit. Then, of course, the whole Kirk Cousins things happened, which I know we'll get into. But I really, truly, like the first thing I thought about, I didn't even think about Kirk Cousins for a while because I just thought about the fit of everything that goes on. When you got Bijan Robinson, you've got Drake London, you've got Kyle Pitts, you've got a good offensive line. This is perfect. This is exactly what Michael Penix needs to succeed at the next level, where I think he truly could have gone anywhere and played really, really well, except Denver, because, you know, that's a whole thing where nobody's going to succeed in Denver. I just hate what they're doing. But
Peyton Manning.
Yeah, seriously, that's the one guy who probably is just okay with everything. But the more I look at everything that they're doing there, when it comes to the offense, I really like the fit. But there's Kirk Cousins in the way. So, of course, everybody's going to bag on this pick for, you know, this, that, and the third reason, which is logical. And I understand that. But none of that is Mike's fault. And whenever Mike does hit the field, I truly believe he can be a top 10 quarterback in the NFL.
Mark, what you got on that, man? What you got on that?
I mean, Roman, I totally agree. And like I see people like the fantasy pundits or whatever making fun of like, oh, he's too old, he's 24, he's not gonna start until he's 28. I'm gonna drop a stat bomb on you guys. Warren Moon was 28 when he came into the NFL. He finished
another Husky legend.
He finished 13th in NFL passing yards for a career. So age does not matter if he can be protected by that offensive line, which I believe he can be. And like we were talking about before the show, like you're going to see him in preseason and you're going to be like, who is this guy? And I know why we drafted him 8th overall. They're like, it's going to be awesome. Like the second he finds Drake London for 50 yards for a touchdown, you guys are going to be like, start him immediately.
I have something right off the top. I got a question right off the top. So I'm a bit controversial. I mean, if the name Mad Mike doesn't say that, I don't know what. But I want to make people angry. So one thing about the Atlanta Falcons fans that they refuse to get over Michael Vick. So can you tell me in how many ways that he isn't Michael Vick?
Well, do you want on the field reasons or off the field reasons?
You guys can share the responsibility. Like, just give it to me.
So, as you guys know, because he was just picked in the top 10, Michael Penix is a pretty famous guy. I've covered the team for 3 years now, and he's somebody who I've interacted with a decent amount. I don't think he knows what I look like. A couple weeks ago, I run into him right before Washington's pro day, and I'm stuffing my face with a bag of chips. And I just say, "Oh, hey, what's up, Mike?" And he stops. He just goes, "Oh, hey, man, how you doing?" And just like, you know, we start having this conversation, and I still don't think he knows who I am. And he just goes, "Where are you going? Who are you interviewing right now?" I'm like, oh, you do know who I am. This is great. That's just the kind of guy he is. He's just a super nice, super genuine guy in just his day-to-day life. Everybody on the team loves him. He's somebody who they all rallied around at the end of 2022. That's why this team all came back, and that's why they got to the national championships, not just because of who he is on the field, where we've seen all of that, and of course we can get into those reasons as well, but it's because he is one of the best leaders that you are going to find. He is as determined and just as passionate and as strong-willed as anybody you are going to find in the game of football. And if you haven't read his piece in the Players Tribune, you need to go do that immediately, because that's going to tell you everything you need to know about who he is off the field. And then, of course, when we get it on the field, there is nobody just in the world that spins the ball like Michael Penix does. There are guys who have more arm talent. I'm not going to, just say he's the best player of all time, but there are not a lot of guys who have the zip, who have the accuracy, who have the touch, who have everything it is that he does when it comes between the lines. And on top of that, he's just as smart of a quarterback, where we've seen him make some bad throws over his time to Washington, because everybody does, but he never makes the same mistake twice. I remember there's a play that he made against Oregon in 2022 when they went down into Autzen and beat him, where he dropped a ball into coverage right over the top of a linebacker. Same play. Just they call the same play a couple plays later, but it's more condensed because they're down like the 2-yard line. Sees same thing, throws an interception. We haven't seen that kind of play like him since. And I feel like with every single interception Mike has thrown, we've never seen him make that same mistake ever again, which is just so nice. And it's so good to see from somebody where, that's especially as a gunslinger who likes to push the ball down the field. When you're not going to see the same thing over and over and over again, and just get so frustrated, like you might with Kirk Cousins, who's not always going to be willing to take that shot. I would just be more than happy with this pick for so many reasons.
Mike, what you taking from this, man?
I want to hear from the big boss man. That's what I want to hear.
Well, I essentially agree with Roman because there's no throw that he can't make. And in the NFL, you need guys like that because, you're not asked to like bomb the ball 50 yards every play. You're asked to throw it short. And he has enough arm talent to recognize like, oh, I got to make this throw, and this throw. And he's a good enough decision maker to like run through all of his progressions. And he's just like, yep, this is the right read. And more often than not in Washington's offense, it really worked out. I mean, you don't throw for 4,900 yards without a really good scheme for the quarterback. And if the quarterback is knowledgeable enough to make those throws.
All right, man. Jew. Let's get your input on this conversation, man. What you got to speak on?
Yeah, man, I'm liking what I'm hearing from them. I kind of want to ask them a question because, they've seen Michael Penix, because they cover the team. What would you say his best attribute is? That's my first question. And then my next question for you, both of you guys, is how long do you think Kirk Cousins is going to be able to hold him off?
Mark, do you want to take this one? I've been going first.
Yeah. Michael Penix's best attribute is not only does he have the arm strength to fit it into where like you think, oh, he is not going to be able to make that throw. He's just got the swagger. It's like, my guy's going to be open. He is going to get this ball, and this is going to be a big play. That was a big thing after the Oregon game this year, where he kind of threw a little bit of a 50-50 ball to Rome Odunze. And in the press conference after the game, he was like, if it's my guy against their guy, I'm taking my guy every time.
That sounds. I think Drake London will love that.
So he's got
when Mark speaks on Mike's swagger, it's not his number one trait, but I certainly agree because he's going to pull up to a game wearing the ski mask and the sunglasses like he did every single game this season. Oh, Mike, have you not seen this?
Ski mask. Oh, look, you got my attention right there.
He pulls up in a ski mask and he turns into a different guy. This is something they've talked about a lot. Oh yeah, I'll find one of the pictures and send it to you guys. But he pulls up in a ski mask and he's just a different dude before games. He's just always locked in. But I think the number one thing for me when it comes to just his traits is the velocity that he can put on the ball, where he can fit into those extra tight windows, and it gives him the confidence to do everything it is that he does on the football field, where he sees 2 or 3 defenders and he still isn't afraid to rip the ball in there because he knows he can beat certain coverages. Even then when he says, oh, I might not have read this right. No, I can still get the ball in there. And yeah, having Rome Odunze and Jalen Polk and Jalen McMillan helps, but he's going to have a similar cast of receivers, which is just fantastic for him.
So speaking on what Roman said about the ski mask, there was a point in the fourth quarter of the Oregon game this past year where the guy is like on the sideline and he's freestyling about what their offense is about to go out and do. And sure enough, they do it in the Oregon game. We come back 2 plays for a game-winning touchdown, and we end up winning the game. Like you're talking about a guy that's him. This dude is him.
Yeah.
So what y'all saying is he had from your experiences, that I know a lot of people kind of see the tape on what he does, but basically what I'm getting from the both of y'all is he has a certain confidence that could that could pass on to his teamates.
That is absolutely what it is.
I had the word on the tip of my tongue. It just didn't come out, so I had to come up with the synonym for it. So forgive me, y'all. No, he has the confidence that resonates with the team. There you go.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it is.
All right. I was like, I don't know why I couldn't get that out. I was like, I was gonna say residue. I was like, wait a minute, we not talking about
residue is not what we need.
All right, Mike. What you got on it, man? I know you bit biting over there.
Oh, man, I like to stir up trouble. So is he one of those guys? Because we know a guy like Matt Ryan. When he's in that mode, and he's a guy that doesn't like to lose. Matt Ryan does not like to lose. Falcons fans know exactly what they're getting from Matt Ryan. And we're in an age where wide receivers, they want to be center of attention. It's very few wide receivers in the league, offensive players inside the league that don't exude that confidence or that arrogance, as we might say. Is Mike Penix a guy that will tell you live to get fucking set? That's what we want to know. That's what I want to know.
One of the great things about Washington's offense is that he never needed to do that. Is because everybody was so well coached that there was never a point in time where that needed to be said. That being said, I absolutely think that he would be that kind of guy where he knows what needs to be done. He's such a smart guy. He knows where everybody needs to be on every single play. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And there were times throughout his 2 years at Washington where I noticed he was doing, I think he would call it protection checks, where he was checking with his offensive linemen, making sure they knew what their protections were. And it reminded me a little bit of what Peyton Manning used to do, where he was just walking through his offense.
Don't you say that around me. Don't you say that word around me. Everybody know that's my girl. Oh, what?
Mike almost had
oh, God. Don't say that.
I'm sorry, I almost gave you a heart attack.
Y'all have no idea. I'm in love with. Look, if you thought that song was something, I'm in love with a stripper. No, I'm in love with Peyton Manning. Okay, I got a man crush on that dude.
See, you know what? We are not doing this, Mike.
But I agree with Roman. Everybody was so well coached, but he has the knack of making sure everybody's ready at the line and like they know what the play is going to be coming in. So I do think he's that kind of guy, but I don't know if he's very aggressive about it like Matt Ryan would be. But you're getting a field general too. He's not just a gunslinger.
Yep. And as Mark said, that's something that just happened so often at Washington, where they'd get to the line really quick and then they would change the play so often later on, where he is just calling a lot of signals and having to do so many different things at the line of scrimmage. And it never seemed like it was too much for him.
No.
Ever. And that's one of the biggest things where like just everything leading up. Mike, I remember the last time I was on here, we ended up talking about JJ McCarthy for a little while, where all the hype, and like JJ McCarthy is a really talented player. There was never a point in this draft cycle where JJ McCarthy should have been ranked over Michael Penix. And that's one of the reasons why like Michigan took the ball out of his hands in so many key spots. And that's something it's the exact opposite with Mike, where whenever something needed to happen, the ball was in his hands. Like that's just one of the things that it comes to the confidence, comes to the smartness, comes to just everything that he is. It's there are so many good things to say about him.
Yeah, and Roman, I was getting fired up. I got some words for JJ McCarthy.
Yeah.
That could be its whole own show too.
Yeah.
All right. So, as we've already know, everybody's kind of excited about Michael Penix. But for me personally, I think one of the more underrated picks the Falcons was made was your boy Bralen Trice.
Oh man.
I love me some Bralen Trice.
Hold on. Before we get to that, we want to give a couple more minutes on Michael Penix. But Eric Mack here asks, what do you think is Michael Penix's biggest weaknesses that we have to be prepared for?
So I saw that question in the chat, and it's a really fantastic question because the number one thing I think of is exactly what I was talking about a couple of minutes ago, where sometimes he has so much confidence in his arm, it turns into a little bit of an overconfidence where there are plays that you can, and it was more so in 2022 than it was in 2023, but he knows he can make every throw on the field, that even when he sees that coverage, he says, oh yeah, I see this guy coming down. No, I can still beat him here. And it's bitten him a couple times, and it will certainly do that in the NFL as well. But I feel like that's one of the biggest things. And then the other one where, you can say about it what you will, he's a really, really good athlete. Where I mean, full disclosure here, the 4.46 time that went around that came off of this cell phone right here. That was me and the Huskies Wire team. Yeah, no, that was
okay. Oh,
so just I want to put that out there. That was us. Where obviously we were a little on the fast side there, but we're gonna take it. We're still gonna run with it because I made sure we put that unofficial in there. But he doesn't show that athleticism as much as he necessarily can. And that's something where, if you want to see a little bit more mobility, where he still can pick up a 3rd and 8 if he needs to at times. But there are going to be times where, there's going to be an open guy. There's not going to be an open guy 10, 15 yards downfield, and he's going to choose to push it in there instead of taking the 5-6 yards on the ground. And some of that is a product of the coaching that he received at Washington. Sorry, Mark, go ahead.
I think too, Roman, most of that is due to his injury history and like the fact that he probably didn't want to run as much.
Yeah, exactly.
Because if you look at his highlights from Indiana, he was asked to do pretty much everything in that offense.
Yep.
And at Washington, they kind of took the burden off of him. But every time he would run, my heart would drop a little bit. I'd be like, why are you running, man?
And that's such a good point where that's why I wanted to make sure the caveat was it was coached. Okay. It was coached for him to not run a whole ton. But he certainly can if need be. But again, that's when you look at what his overall just style of play is, that's not the number one thing you're ever going to be looking for with him.
Interesting. So, Drew, you have anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, I got one more question for the guys about Michael Penix. So who would be you guys like NFL comp for him, like a Russell Wilson? Because we know Michael Vick came up because he's in Atlanta, but I really see a lot of Russell Wilson personally myself, just because I think that he only uses his legs when he has to, but I think he plays a little bit more on time than a Russell Wilson. So what I liked about his game is similar to like the Jaden Daniels, where I like quarterbacks that's on time with the ball. And that's something that Raheem Morris talked about, is wanting a quick processor, where you guys talked about him at the line. So who would be like the quarterback in either the past or presently playing in the NFL that you guys would kind of compare his game to, if there's a comp in the NFL currently?
Mark, go ahead. I've struggled with this question for so long because I don't think there's one good one, truly.
Yeah, like I could agree with RG3, which I'm apt to do, and go Steve Young. Or I could go with what I personally think, which is Geno Smith, where the guy who's going to make every type of throw for you and be that guy to like win you football games. But yeah, I've kind of struggled with like, because there's not really a quarterback I've seen that really fits his play style where it's like, oh, this guy can throw it 50, 60 yards, but he can't run. And Roman, you mentioned you kind of struggle with that, so.
Yeah, we're like the one name that I keep coming back to, and it feels like it's a bit of a ceiling comp, is what Justin Herbert could be if he had a competent offensive coordinator. Where it's the same thing where it's the arm talent, it's the mobility when you need it to be. And I mean, you know, we've listened to Emmanuel Acho say whatever it is that he will about Justin Herbert's clutch gene. I disagree with that personally. But the more I watch him, the more I see that. Ooh, I like this one in the comments right here too. A mobile Matt Stafford. That is, that's fantastic. I like that a lot. Where because he can throw off platform, he can do all those different things, and while it's never going to be the primary thing that you want to see from him, he can certainly make it look good when need be.
Okay.
All right, but like you said, man, we want to go ahead and definitely give a highlight to another one of the Washington Huskies draft picks, Mr. Bralen Trice. Because I heard y'all said that y'all love Bralen Trice, man. You want to go ahead and let us know what does he bring, strengths and weaknesses. Hey, man, the floor is yours.
Before y'all go, this is just before y'all go. I'm the person on this channel, even though all of my bros love the trenches. Y'all get me hyped about Bralen Trice because I was the Dallas Turner, Latu. I've been watching a lot of Bralen Trice over the last couple of days. Last night I was looking at some of his tape. I started getting a little bit excited because he seemed like a guy that brings the energy and he's physical. So he's starting to grow on me. So you guys, y'all tell me why he's gonna be that next dog. We need somebody that's gonna be that dog on that defensive line.
Yeah.
So let's start with the comp then, because when I was down at the national championship, I asked his edge rushers coach Eric Schmidt about this, and he gave me a comp that I wasn't necessarily thinking of. He was there at the edge rushers coach at Washington.
Okay, yeah, that name rings a bell.
And he gave a name that I definitely wasn't thinking about. He told me Max Crosby. And I was very interested when he told me that. I said, why is that? And he told me he never comes off the field. He just gives max effort on every single play. He's a dude who you can trust against the run. He takes pride in playing against the run. He's still going to get after the quarterback. He's led the nation in pressures for the last 2 seasons.
Yeah.
Where that's a whole bunch of just the big things about him, where I think that one thing where he can get a little better is he doesn't have a whole bunch of refined pass rush moves. He's so strong and he can do a couple of things really, really, really well that he's not necessarily going to, he hasn't just really had a need to, go through a whole bunch of different moves and get the arsenal, where that's something he's going to have to do at the NFL level, but he can certainly, when he's on, be a one-man wrecking crew.
Yeah, Roman, I agree. And this pick makes a ton of sense when you recognize who their defensive coordinator is.
Yep.
Jimmy Lake, who coached Bralen Trice, he was a recruit in the class of 2019.
Yep.
Yeah, 2020 was his first year, and then he opted out. But one thing that I see as a knock on him was like people are like, oh, the sack numbers weren't there, but the sack numbers weren't there, but the pressures numbers were. So that's not necessarily a knock on his ability to get to the quarterback. I think because people still have to game plan for him. So this is a high motor guy that's going to give you 110% on every play. And I think he's at the very least going to compete for a starting edge spot in the preseason.
I completely agree. And the other thing I want to say on the weakness side of things is I was kind of disappointed in where he weighed in at the combine, where it seemed very clear that he slimmed down, dropped those 30 pounds, whatever it was, to just test a little bit better. The testing numbers still weren't great, but the more that I looked at him when we watched him at his pro day, he certainly had bulked back up a little bit. He definitely hadn't gained all 30 pounds back, but If he plays somewhere between, let's just call it 265 and 270 on the edge, that's somebody who could be a truly franchise piece on the defensive line.
Mm-hmm.
Hey man, definitely. And a lot of folks know, we also drafted Zach Harrison last year, who definitely was a guy that really didn't have a lot of sack numbers in college, but just based on the upside, like you said. Well, for me, I think when it comes to those certain type of defensive linemen, pass rushers like that upside actually has a quicker translation to the NFL than just what the sack numbers would tell somebody.
Yeah.
Grady Jarrett is one of those guys.
One thing I feel that needs to be just kind of put into context with the sack numbers, and Mark knows this as well as anybody, is he was the guy that everybody was game planning against, and he would get double and triple teamed on every single play, and there was nobody else where he was still getting pressure. He still recorded 16 pressures in a game this year against Stanford. And there was just nobody else that was getting into the backfield on an overly consistent basis.
Yes.
Mike, you want to add to that, man? Look, you want to add to it on what they talking about?
So Raheem is a guy that he doesn't necessarily want to motivate guys. It's like you have to come in and play with a certain energy. If you don't come and play with a certain energy, then it's not going to bode well for you here in Atlanta. So is he one of those guys that, like, obviously you said, they call him the enforcer. So does he really live up to that name? Because there are going to be games where there's games where he's playing bigger opponents, the bigger schools and whatnot. How does he bode against those teams, like the big schools that you have, some of the top offensive tackles in the games? Like how do you think that he played against those guys?
The thing that jumps out to me is, was it the Sugar Bowl that he had like either 1.5 or 2 sacks?
He had 2 sacks, 8 pressures in the Sugar Bowl against Texas's offensive line. Yeah.
Man. Yeah. So if it's a big game, he's going to come to play for you, and he's going to step up and be the leader on that defensive line.
Yep. And and again, it's not just as a pass rusher. It's something where you'll see certain guys where they're not going to play as hard against the run. They're going to take plays off when they see the run's going the other way. That's not something he's going to do. He's going to collapse on the backside every single time. He's going to put that same effort into every single play, which is certainly not something you can say about every defensive end in the NFL.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know we're kind of been down for a pass rusher for a good little while. Where we be hearing like a lot of like good things from certain guys. One name that should be stricken from the record books, Tat McKinley's punk ass. But
I was gonna say, is Vic Beasley a curse word on the show? Because
no.
Vic Beasley gets love around here. He get love. Okay, good. Here. Vic Beasley get love around here. We feel like he was just in the used improperly, so he gets a pass. Yeah. But you can't talk about find me later and all this stuff and you can't even find you on the defensive line. Oh, but you said Max Crosby is a comparison to him, so that's very interesting. That's very interesting to me. Drew, you want to go ahead and add to this one more time before I get to a good question I want to ask my people over here?
Most definitely.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm over here smiling from ear to ear because y'all know that Max Crosby, outside of the Atlanta Falcons, he's like one of my favorite pass rushers or defensive ends, whatever you want to call him. He's a game record, and Mike and they can vouch for what I'm about to say. I like those guys that will stop the run first, because I really feel like, and I said this in my show I did Tuesday, I really feel like the way that they built this team, as far as you look at our draft, they brought in guys where Trice is going to see a lot of one-on-one situations. As you talked about him in Washington, where he was the main call, he was that main guy that everybody was game planning for. I really feel like because Grady Jarrett, Onyemata, Root that they drafted, Brandon Dorless, a lot of these guys are bigger, physical defensive linemen, really not outside linebackers like defensive ends, but they can slide all over. I really feel like you're going to see Trice move around. So I definitely think that he's going to be one of those guys that could be dangerous for our Atlanta Falcons. But I did look at the Atlanta Falcons, Audible, and Arch was talking about how he plays with that last play mentality on every single play, like you were talking about. So that's something that definitely was encouraging to hear. And just looking at the film that I've looked at, I've seen him collapsing down, as you talked about, on the opposite side in the run and bringing that energy. And that's what Mike was just talking about is Raheem Morris. If you look at our Atlanta Falcons team, they draft a lot of team captains because they want guys that's going to come in. They're not going to have to be pushed, as they talked about, but they're going to come in here and they're going to bring their lunch pail. And if you look at this Atlanta Falcons team, I really feel like this is going to be a really gritty defense. So, yeah, you guys, when you said Max Crosby, I was like, yeah, I'm smiling from ear to ear.
See, I didn't want to bring up just the cliche lunch pail comp, but that's exactly what it is. That's 100% who this guy is.
My favorite scouting cliche.
We like.
We love that thing. Oh yeah.
We love lunch pail guys over here.
Yep.
But that's good. So I got a question for the big boss and the tribal chief over here. Now there was that said that this year the Washington Huskies had the most players drafted out of any school this year.
They were tied for third.
Yeah.
They were tied for
13. I think they had
Michigan had 13, Texas had 11.
Yeah.
Okay. So,
but UW did have they tied for their most drafted ever.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's what I read. So how did that make y'all feel to know that the Washington Huskies was receiving a lot of that love via the draft from the NFL in this past draft, man?
Be as arrogant as you want. Because I'm a Georgia fan. I'm a Georgia fan. So
look at you with your back-to-back national championships. I wish. Are you kidding me?
Ain't nobody gonna be arrogant as John right now.
Right.
I texted somebody where I'm like, I feel like a proud dad right now. I watched these guys for 2 years. It was some of the best football I have ever seen. Just like the ease with which we would score points. It's just like, is this what it feels like to actually have a good offense? Where like you don't really find fault in any of the play calling or anything. Well, I mean, there was a couple of moments last year. It's just like,
unless you have
there were some dark days.
Yeah. And that might be for another show, but it
Please
never give a Husky fan a chance to
look, I say you guys go ahead and rip on your team. Do as much as you do what you like.
I mean, yeah, I'm not gonna rip on them. But that's funny. I can't get over that. Yeah, I just felt incredibly proud for these guys, and it's just a product of good coaching and good development. And I hope Jed Fish can carry it over.
Yeah. So that's certainly a big piece of this. And just with everything that with some of the guys that I've talked to, some of the relationships that I've been able to develop with some of these guys over the last couple of years, it's so cool because you guys don't understand the depths and just darkness that this Husky program was in the middle of 2021.
Can we talk about the John Donovan era?
Oh, I no, it makes me sick. Truly, we're all of, and that's the thing that a lot of people
It's
don't
like-
realize is
Okay,
a lot of these guys were on that team.
Wow.
Roman, let me
Wow.
back up. Y'all know Puka Nakua, right? Wide receiver
Yeah,
for the
yeah.
Rams.
I
Fifth
was
round
gonna
pick.
say this.
We
Yes,
had
please.
we had Romo Dunze, Jalen McMillan, Jalen Polk, and Puka Nakua on the same offense.
Yep.
And we
Wow. I
averaged,
didn't know that.
a game.
I didn't know that.
Wow. Wow.
So I'm gonna add one more to this. Mike, your beloved Georgia Bulldogs. When Brock Bowers committed to Georgia, do you know who the other team in his top 2 was?
Wow.
It was Washington. It was Georgia or
Wow.
Washington. And I cannot tell you how many days I have sat here and thought about what a 2022 Washington offense would have looked like with Roma
Boy.
Dunze, Jalen Polk, Jalen McMillan, Puka Nakua, and Brock Bowers.
Brock
It
Bowers.
makes me
Woo.
sick. It keeps me up at night thinking
Roman,
about
I'm
what
gonna have
that might have
nightmares
looked
about
like.
this.
Wow.
Oh,
I didn't know that. I didn't know that. Wow.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
so that's like, but that's what it is. Where when we think about 2021, where as Mark said, that was a real thing that all these guys were on the same team. And then when
And
we look at
averaged
the guys that got
16 points a
drafted,
game.
yeah, the
Six.
only guy it was terrible. It was one of the worst offenses I have ever seen in my life. The
Yeah.
only guy who was not on that roster that got drafted this year was Michael Penix. That was the only guy who's not on the 2021 roster that heard his name
Wow.
called during the draft.
Wow.
So just everything that those dudes went through. Jalen Polk on like the 3rd play of the season in 2021 dislocated his collarbone and had to go have emergency surgery like an hour later, or it might have like punctured some other organs. It's
I
wild
remember
just
that.
to see.
Yeah, I remember
Yeah, just to see how far some of these guys have come just over these last 2 years. Watching Roma Dunze turn from this guy who was, he's got a lot of potential. Yeah, he's a fun recruit, 4-star guy. Yeah, he could be really good, into a guy where I remember watching spring camp last year and feeling truly bad for whatever defensive back lined up across from him, because it was just,
It was
Yeah.
just this guy is going to catch every 50-50 ball. Like it's not even close.
that was the feeling.
After every one of those touchdowns, I would do the too small celebration.
Yep. That's what it felt like. Every single time he caught the ball, it was nobody could just stand up to him at all. And it was so cool. And like, as somebody who's in like my mid-20s, I hear all these Husky fans talk about Reggie Williams. I never got to watch Reggie Williams. I was too young for that. Like watching John Ross. John Ross is one of my favorite Huskies of all time. Watching John Ross does not compare to watching Roma Dunze, where they're just such different skill sets, where Rome is going to go up over your head. Rome is going to do everything. Rome returned a punt 80 yards for a touchdown this season. I know that's something John Ross can also do.
He returned a punt 80 yards for a touchdown. He wasn't even running at full speed.
Yeah,
and he was just
kind
blowing
of
by
jagged.
everybody. Yeah.
Yeah, y'all are not helping Falcons fans with this one, because that they were calling for his name, man. That's
He's
what they
so
want.
good.
He's just the best.
All right. So, so showing some love to the Washington Huskies. Like you said, y'all had dark ages. And Mike is a Bulldog fan. They done went through. My team's still going through the dark ages. We slowly trying to peek over the light over here at Georgia Tech. So we slowly trying to do that, but
Brett Key
lonely. I'm so lonely.
Yeah. Me and the other 4 Tech fans in the state of Georgia still waiting on But we're gonna have a little fun with this one as well, man. Everybody, y'all make sure y'all go ahead and share this. Make sure you hit the like button as y'all coming in. It is free. Make sure you subscribe to the Heavy Hitters Live channel. So we definitely appreciate everybody that's in here right now.
Check on the Locked On Washington Huskies is in my community tab, so you check these see these guys. Like I said, y'all know I don't pull out any bull crap. All right, I don't just throw anybody name out there. He's very good, and trust me, y'all gonna want to watch his previous work on Michael Penix and that team and kind of get an idea of what we're going to see. So check out that also.
Mike, I
Right,
appreciate
right,
you, man. Thank you, truly.
right. All right. So as y'all already know, the tribal chief is a Patriots fan, and the big boss is a Seahawks fan as well. So we're gonna give both of y'all the opportunity to let us know what did y'all think of y'all's draft class of 2024. Whoever
This is
want to
gonna be
kick
so
this off,
fun. This is gonna be so
the
fun.
floor is yours.
Mark, do you want to go first? Because I might scream.
Yeah, I'll go. I'll give you a minute to tone it down. As a guy who how old was I when Pete Carroll took over? I was 11 years old when Pete Carroll became the head coach of the Seahawks. So I've basically watched this team for 14 years be like this one thing, and now with Mike McDonald coming in, it's a whole other thing. And they're drafting two positions of need, which I really like. The Byron Murphy pick, the guard out of UConn.
Yeah, Christian Haynes.
Mhm.
Yeah, and then the two DBs. But I was a little disappointed we didn't spring for Troy Fautanu at 16, but they clearly had a plan. They had their guy, and they got him. So I guess I can't complain about this draft.
I have never seen this before in my life. I have never in my life seen the Patriots have a good draft. This is the first time. This is the first time in my life I have not come out of the first round looking for a bridge to jump off. Because that's like
Roman, you're just like, oh my god, I'm free.
Yeah, that's how it felt. I've had to sit through Dominic Easley. I had to sit through, and I love the pick of the time, N'Keal Harry. I had to sit through Cole Strange. They traded out of Trent McDuffie to pick Cole Strange. Speaking of things that keep me up at night, I think once a week about what a Trent McDuffie, Christian Gonzalez secondary would look like with the Patriots. I think about that all the time. So the fact that I can not only talk about Drake May, who, in my opinion, was the second best quarterback in this draft, Michael Penix was my number 3 rated QB, then to go get Jalen Polk, who I've had the pleasure of covering for the last 3 seasons, who's a wonderful kid, one of the hardest workers I have ever seen. Dude is out there catching passes on the jug machine for 15 minutes after every single practice. Getting Javon Baker, who is already just so fun to watch. I love watching that dude. And then even getting Joe Milton in the 6th round is fun. I like that. He's got a high ceiling, and if he needs to play, you can figure it out. And then getting Jaheim Bell too, getting 3 legitimate pass catchers for a team that last season was rolling out Demario Douglas, Tyquan Thornton, and Devontae Parker, who had a ball hit him in both hands. And he said, "Oh, it barely touched my fingertips." I was so over that. And now I get to watch real wide receivers with a real quarterback. It's truly unbelievable.
The Devontae Parker regression is the biggest, what happened there in recent NFL history?
It was one of the most maddening things to happen.
Yeah.
And to not, okay, Roman, I feel sorry for you. You had to sit through an offensive triumvirate of Bill Belichick, Joe Judge, and Matt Patricia.
I could go on for 4 hours about how much I hate Matt Patricia.
Hey man, we gonna have that we hate Matt Patricia therapy session here coming up soon.
Yes.
So,
Does anybody like that dude? Nobody likes him. Nobody likes him.
As soon as he got fired from the Lions, they brought Dan Campbell. The vibes went up tremendously.
Oh wow. So yeah, because I was about to say I'm looking at these drafts and I'm looking at the Patriots. Like you said, yeah, it was very interesting because Jaheim Bell to me was one of those guys that I definitely had a keen eye on. But y'all kind of double dipped on the quarterback room. What do you think that says about Bailey Zappi? Because if those of them may not know that the Patriots did pick up Drake May and Joe Milton. So my question to you, Roman, is what does that say about Bailey Zappi? Do you think that there's still gonna be a spot for him?
I see. If I could like pick my laptop with me without knocking my microphone over, I would just go open the door in here and just say, there's the door. Get out. Because I'm like he was doing everything Mac Jones was doing, but was somehow worse. Like it was just so maddening to watch. I was not happy with watching Mac Jones this year, but Bailey Zappi was not any better. Where like you go back to watching him in 2022 and they were doing so many different things, like trying to make him look good on offense. They were running the offense they should have been running for Mac Jones. And then in 2023, when they finally had him come in, they finally had him do all these different things. And they had him start down the stretch and, I thought had him, play their way out of Drake May there for a minute, which was just a horrendous feeling in the middle of December. But there's nothing that he can really do that I think could even be worthy of a backup job. Where at least with Joe Milton, there's a really high upside. He plays really well. He shows a couple of things. You trade him, you do whatever. And then because Jacoby Brissett's also in the room, where there's no space for him anymore, and I'm totally okay with showing him the door.
Said to the left, everything in the box to the left. All right. Like I said, get back to Mark. That'll be my question for you for the Seahawks. Like I said, I know you said you love the first couple picks. Is there a particular pick that you saw in this year's draft where you was like, oh man, this may be the underrated pick that will help the Seahawks, man?
Can I talk about an undrafted free agent signing?
Go ahead. Go ahead. The floor is open, man.
Jack Westover is a really good do-everything tight end, and the Seahawks got him for cheap. So he could be like, best case scenario, he could be like a second or third tight end in goal line packages. Because this guy, he's not the biggest guy. He's not the fastest guy. He's not the strongest guy, but he will do everything you need him to do, and he will do it well.
I agree.
And being a Husky fan and seeing that Jack got picked up was like, yes.
You'll see 37 pop up a lot when you're watching Michael Penix tape.
Yeah.
Okay. So Mike, so out of the Seahawks and the Patriots, like you said, is there any particular draft pick that they made that you feel like was an underrated move in itself?
I think taking Jalen Polk in the second round was my signal that the Patriots were going to be, they're going to do things different. This is not Bill Belichick anymore. It's just like, what is this?
It's truly the Twilight Zone, where they take a high floor guy who also does have a pretty high ceiling, but is super reliable, can do everything that Drake May will need during his rookie season. Is just because Mark, I totally agree. That would be the number one guy that I'd point to, where he's just such a reliable target that it is just the sign of a new regime, and it's a sign of, oh, this is competency at its finest. Because like I said, just getting back to just how good the Patriots draft was, there wasn't one guy that I asked for. There weren't two. There were three guys that I called out by name and said, these are players that I want on the Patriots. And it was the three guys we just talked about: Drake May, Jalen Polk, and Javon Baker. Those were three guys where I said, I want these three guys to be Patriots. And it's just so awesome. Please, Mark, go ahead. Sorry.
When you have a guy like Jalen Polk, who's an athlete, but who's also like a really, really big deep threat, that suggests to me that the Patriots might work in a little bit of vertical stuff, a little bit more than what they have been doing in recent years. So, because it seems like whenever Jalen Polk was on go routes, he was always open.
He's such a good separator.
Yeah.
Okay. There's a pick that the Seahawks have made to that I wanted to get your take on. And I'm glad Drew was in here because this is one of the guys from his team.
Oh boy. Oh gosh.
Nehemiah Pritchard. What's your take? Well, for me, I feel like he was kind of like an underrated pick for y'all, and I already know y'all got like Tariq Woolen. And do you think that Pritchard can be that corner 2 for the Seahawks in the near future?
Maybe. I mean, we got Rick Woolen, we got Devon Witherspoon.
Oh damn! Well, he's nickel corner. How about that? We go.
Yeah. He would fit much better in a nickel scheme. So, I think if either of those guys, if Rick Woolen or Devon Witherspoon moves on, I think Pritchard can slot in nicely. But I feel like if you're taking, because I think the Seahawks spent on. If you're taking 2 DBs from Auburn, why are you doing that?
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I guess what you're saying is they trying to show up their secondary. That's all I can think of. All right.
He just hurt my feelings with that comment.
Drew he's an Auburn fan, yeah.
I mean, no offense to Auburn, but like, why are you taking 2 guys from the same secondary?
You speaking facts. Don't worry about my feelings. You speaking facts, man.
Well, it look like
Or damn.
We don't know. Like that way said, we don't know. But all right, so this is gonna be the point in the show right here where we're gonna start doing the Q&A. So for the people that's watching here, you got some questions for the fellas. Like I said, definitely put them in here. Right. And let's go ahead and let's start picking each other's brains over here. Southside said, hold on, where that? He said now he's glad that we passed on Belichick.
Ooh, I mean, as a Patriots fan, I have a lot of thoughts on that. As a coach, I would be very sad about that. I like Raheem Morris a lot, but as a coach, Bill Belichick he hasn't dropped off at all. But where Bill Belichick has lost touch with the NFL is in terms of being a general manager and in terms of what he's doing with his on-field coaching staff, where some of the draft picks he's made over recent years, as I won't get into because it's truly just traumatizing. There's no other way to put it. But in terms of, as Mark said a little bit earlier, an offense that was schemed up by Matt Patricia and Joe Judge made absolutely no sense. And that's where, like, yeah, he was going to come in and he's going to run a competent defense. He's going to figure it out.
Matt Patricia.
But yeah, it's just that alone should just be like, yeah, no, you're bringing that guy with you. No, we're good. That's all I would need to hear personally if I was Arthur Blank. But just that's the thing where he's always going to be a really, really good coach. But if he doesn't learn how to either give up the power of being general manager or understand that it's not 1999 or even really like, I don't even
2010. Right.
I was going to say 2007. Yeah. Where like that was the last year the Patriots had a truly like innovative offense. So if he doesn't learn that's not how,
because of Josh McDaniels.
And it was more because of Randy Moss than it was anything else.
Yeah.
I don't like giving Josh McDaniels credit for a lot of things.
I'm gonna stay out of that Patriot mess because I already got my feelings about that. So I'm gonna leave that one alone.
Yeah, we're not gonna bring that up. Sorry.
Well, we got Noah here. Got a question. He said, "Any extra pieces of information are you able to share about Kevin King and Antonio Hamilton?"
I mean, I don't have much on Antonio Hamilton, but Kevin King, I love Kevin King.
Kevin King's great.
Yeah, he's somebody who's really struggled to find his footing in the NFL. He's dealt with a couple injuries over the last few years, but That's somebody who's just a big, long corner. I absolutely loved watching him when he was at Washington. He's not afraid to get in your face and be aggressive and play man coverage. And he's somebody where if Jimmy Lake wants him to play in the secondary, that's somebody who they have a really long relationship with. So that's somebody who I would certainly trust on the back end, not as a corner one, but certainly in a CB2, CB3 type of role.
Yeah, like a nickelback kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think you nailed it.
Okay. Hold on. I'm gonna get your ass up on here. I ain't
Don't waste your time. Don't waste
No.
your time. It's a Rams fan. The Rams, look, they depressed. They don't have Aaron Donald anymore, so they trying to bring the whole world down with them. All right, nobody cares.
Oh no.
They're lucky I don't care as much about pro football.
Exactly. Xavier Littman here said for the panel with JJ McCarthy and Bo Nix going right after Michael Penix, what do you think were the chances that if he was still on board that he would have slid to us in the second round?
0. I told people that. I told people they didn't want to listen to me. I'm just saying.
And that's a situation where like you could say, oh, if you look at the mock, some of them have him going between 13 and 44. But there was no way he was going to make it past like 13 if he wasn't going to be a first round pick.
That dude can make all his throws. He's extremely athletic. His only curse in college is he turns the ball over at the wrong time. If you can get him to calm down, relax a bit, that dude could be a hell of a player. That's look, he's a good quarterback, man. I've seen him make some throws like, wow, that's NFL level. So I wouldn't say a fan, but I like what he does.
He'll turn you into a fan soon. Trust me. It does not take long watching that dude. Just be like, yeah, no, I'm all in on this guy. But yeah. Sorry, no, go ahead. I was just going to add on there. Yeah.
No, you good, man. Where I stand on the Michael Penix thing is our brother-in-law is a Vikings fan, so he would have been in purple again. If the Falcons didn't take him where he was at, he would have been in Minnesota Vikings. JJ McCarthy wouldn't have been. Yeah, so we had to do what we had to do. Just hearing the stories and after the fact of hearing why the Falcons did what they did, I think a lot of people were targeting Michael Penix, more people than we actually thought. So you can't believe everything you hear, people. Like with the mock drafts and things of that nature, it was saying like he would be a second round pick. But after his pro day and after he killed it at the combine, I pretty much said, yeah, it's a wrap. After his pro day, I was like, it's a wrap. He's shooting up the draft boards because it's too many quarterback hungry teams. So if the Falcons wanted to get him, we had to get him where we got him.
Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we is not gonna answer that. We 28. They asking about 28 to 3. We ain't answering that shit. We done about answered that shit for 6 years now.
Yeah, I wouldn't either.
Move on at a certain point.
Yeah.
You gotta move on at a certain point. But like I said, man, it's all good. Let's see. Come on, y'all. Y'all got any more? Y'all got any more questions pertaining to the topic or close to it in detail? Let's see. There ain't too much going on. So we got a couple more minutes. So if we don't have any questions here in the next couple minutes, we're gonna go ahead and wind it down. Let's see. Fred Butts here has one. Says, how long do you think it would take Michael Penix to start? What would be the ideal timetable before he starting?
It all depends on how healthy Kirk Cousins is and like what Michael Penix does in training camp. Yeah. So I don't want to give like a take on this because I don't want to risk being wrong. And I don't want to give a timeline like, oh, it's going to be 2 seasons or 3 seasons or whatever. But Yeah, it all depends on if Kirk is healthy and like if he doesn't struggle in the offense. And it all depends on how Penix plays during the preseason.
Okay.
I truly believe that there's going to be a certain point where Mike is just outplaying Kirk every single week in practice. And there's going to be a certain point where he forces himself into that. And it might not be in the first season. It might be in the second, but there's going to be a point by the end of year 2. And I'm not afraid to just stake my flag here and just go on with it. By the end of year 2, it will be the Michael Penix show, and you're going to have to move on from Kirk Cousins at a certain point.
Yeah. You're going to hear like, oh, Michael Penix just uncorked a 50-yard bomb. Kirk can't do that anymore. He's 35. And like the fans are going to force the Falcons' hand, I think.
Right.
Go ahead, in other words, Kirk Cousins, eat your Wheaties. Because if you don't want to let Michael Penix be seen, at the end of the day, we know playing that quarterback position, you don't want Michael Penix to start at all. Because if he comes in here, like I said, and balls out, us 3 that are Falcons fans, we know how these fans are. If Michael Penix come out there, don't let him play. Y'all talking about the preseason. If he play one regular season game, he shows something. Look, we seen what he can do in college. The dude can spin the ball. So at the end of the day, if I'm Kirk Cousins, I'm doing everything possible to make sure I'm ready to go by game 1, period.
Yep.
I don't want Michael Penix to be seen game 1. Because if he comes out there balling,
you better steal his cleats. You better steal his cleats because they're going to be calling his name week 1 in the NFL. I can guarantee you, especially in the preseason, and he shows anything in the preseason, look, he is going. This is the reason why I'm freaking. No, never mind. Flashback.
Let it out.
All right, I'm cool. I'm cool now, y'all.
Let it out.
See, this is the reason why these Falcons fans, Michael Penix is going to make an incredible throw. He's going to make that throw downfield, and the fans are going to go ape crap. I can promise you. The first deep pass, because we haven't seen that a lot since Julio and Matt Ryan. The first one that we get, they're going to be calling this dude's name, and we're going to have $45 million in dead cap because we decided we wanted to sign Kirk Cousins to 100 and never mind. All right, it's coming to the end of the show. It's coming to the end of the show. Wow.
All right, Benson Moore said, "Who in the top 10 surprised you the most besides Penix in the draft?"
Ooh, I gotta go with JC Latham. I understand. I understand the hype around JC Latham, and I got to go like close second with Joe Alt to the Chargers, not because of who Joe Alt is as a player. It's the same thing with the Patriots. It's, oh my God, they made the right pick. No way. Like that was my feeling with saying Joe Alt go to the Chargers. But with JC Latham, I get it. I get the upside, but take Olu Fashanu, take Talisa Fuaga, take Troy Fautanu. There were so many other guys that can do the same thing that are more ready to play right now. And for what they've invested in that offense, especially overpaying Calvin Ridley and overpaying Tony Pollard and going and finding all these different things, just say, all right, we're going to build a team around Will Levis. That's fine. That's okay. But I don't think that's the right dude for just in terms of where the tackles just seem to fall for me.
Yeah. And I agree with you, Roman. I had to pull up the draft order just to get his name because I didn't watch Alabama all that much this year. When you factor in the amount of good offensive lineman talent, there was Olu Fashanu, Troy Fautanu, Fuaga from Oregon State. There's so many other better guys there. So why the Alabama guy at 7?
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't get that. I did not like it. I'm a Georgia fan. I've seen a lot of Alabama games, and I would have, me personally, maybe that's my bias. I would have taken Mavis Mims over him. Like I wouldn't have done that. He's a big guy. He's a big guy. He has the physical, but it's like you look at the talent. Sometimes the physical doesn't always add up to the talent, man. It's like I wasn't a fan of.
Yeah, because I didn't really think J.C. Latham was gonna go that high. Like you said,
Right.
that did surprise the hell out of me.
Mm-hmm.
Joe Alt,
Like
I say Joe Alt. I would have thought they would have went more so receiver on that because I thought Rashad Slater was actually playing well for him. So I don't know what's going to be the plan with that. I feel like receiver was like a bigger need for them more so than the tackle itself. But I kind of understand they want to protect Justin Herbert because I know damn well they're not finna go into the season trusting Quentin Johnson who couldn't catch a cold in the middle of the winter. I'm just saying.
Oh, he's awful.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Not great. I feel like with that alt pick though, I think that's kind of on brand for Harbaugh. He's very much like, we're gonna grind it out. We're gonna do this with the offensive. I mean, didn't he say in a press conference that he's like, yeah, I consider offensive linemen weapons.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he went on this whole long rant about how they're the most important position on the field for all these other reasons. And to an extent, I understand getting a second tackle over Malik Neighbors because they took Lad McConkey in the second round. That's fine. That's a good pick.
Flashback. Sorry.
No, it fits. He's a good fit for that offense.
I love that.
And now you have two bookend tackles for the guy you just paid what? $200 million, whatever it was.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And on top of that, there's like we've seen him get hurt so many times because his offensive line sucks.
Mm-hmm.
So getting him two tackles is not a bad thing. And with the way receivers are improving, next year's receivers class is not this one, not by a landslide, but it's not going to be bad. So if you're still picking 15 to 20, you can find a way to get a receiver that falls down the board to you a little bit.
I love it.
All right, let's see. So I guess we're gonna go ahead and wind it down for the night, fellas. This definitely has been a very informational show, as it always is. So, Roman, let you go ahead and give us your final thoughts, man. Go ahead, plug yourself away, and then Mark, you go right after that, man.
First of all, I really do appreciate you guys having me on. This is always a lot of fun. When you guys reached out and said, hey, come on back, I instantly like, yes, let's do it. This is always a blast to be on here. So thank you guys so much for having me. But yeah, feel free to, like Mike said a little earlier, the podcast is Locked On Huskies. We're here on YouTube, wherever else you get your podcast. Feel free to subscribe. We're coming up on 2,500 subscribers on YouTube. So it's a big accomplishment for us. Really means a lot, and been doing it for less than a year. So that's really cool. And then all our written work is over as part of the USA Today Sports Media Group at Huskies Wire, which is uwhuskieswire.usatoday.com. And a final thought, the Patriots had a good draft. I just had to say it one more time and get it out into the ether because it's so great. And I am so thankful for that as well.
That man said the Gerard Mayo era is already starting off.
It's off to a good
Gerard Mayo.
The Gerard Mayo era is here.
All right, Mark, man, what you got, man? What's your final take, man? Go ahead.
All right. First of all, thank you guys for having me on. This is so much fun. I really appreciate it. You'll have to invite me back sometime.
Oh, absolutely.
Maybe if Michael Penix is doing well in like week 8 or something.
Mm-hmm.
It don't even have to look. It don't even have to be about Michael Penix. Like you said, you just that shit. We talk all players, all sports,
absolutely.
all teams.
Yeah. I'll be on to talk about Michael Vick and Madden 04. How about that? I write over at UW Dog Pound. It's UWDAWGPOUND.com, and we write about football and basketball. So check that out if you like Husky sports. If you're a Husky and Falcons fan, which probably is not unbelievably common, but stranger things have happened. But yeah, that's pretty much where I work. Thank you guys for having me.
All right. Definitely appreciate both of y'all coming in and giving us some of that knowledge as well. Go ahead, Jude, man. What's your final thought for the night, man?
So first off, thanks you guys for coming on. As always, it was fun. I'm a little bit jealous because both of you guys picked two of the guys that I actually covered. Javon Baker was one of those guys that I wanted out of UCF. I actually live in Orlando, so I've seen a lot of him at UCF playing, football here. And he's one of those guys that was really one of the guys I want the Falcons to draft. And then Byron Murphy for Seattle. Yeah, he was one of those guys as well. I thought the Falcons might go after him as well. So if you guys, if you want someone that's like a similar to a Grady Jarrett, Aaron Donald type, Byron Murphy's that dude, man. So I think you guys got a good one. Y'all seen enough of Aaron Donald in the in the Northwest. So I know you guys you're trying to get back at the Rams now that Aaron Donald's retired. Hopefully Byron Murphy can be that next somewhat of a reincarnation because we know Aaron Donald's one of one, but Byron Murphy's one of those guys that's a Grady Jarrett, Aaron Donald-esque. So I think you both got a good one. And as you said, the Patriots surprisingly had a good draft. I agree with you, man. Like it's been a long time coming, but Gerard Mayo, his era is here.
Finally.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Mike, what you got?
Like I said, man, we appreciate you, Mark, Roman, for joining us. And like I said, man, we like to talk ball, like to have fun, like to stir up a little bit of trouble every once in a while. But we truly appreciate you guys joining us, and we're going to continue to have you guys on. So thank you for joining us, and go Dubs. All right, I can't believe I just said that, but I said it. All right, go Dubs. All right, I'm a fan, and I have to be a fan because I'm gonna support my quarterback. So I'm gonna support you guys too. All right. I want
There you go.
unless they play in Georgia. All right, that's the only time. So thank you guys.
Let's just be real here for a second. The Huskies will never play Georgia unless.
Well, look, maybe you'll make it to the championship somehow. We'll meet each other. Look, it can happen. I've seen it before. I didn't plan on seeing the. Never mind. I'll let you guys go on a happy note. All right.
And on that note, y'all, we can see y'all back y'all days. Till next time, like I said, make sure you show some love for everybody that's up here on the panel as well as yourselves. And as we always say, man, we ain't here to play.
Mm-mm.
We here to stay.
Oh yeah,
You ain't gotta go home,
but you got to get the hell out of here. Oh yeah. Deuces.
and remember, in order to be the hero, you have to have a villain. Be the villain, not the fool. Deuces. And add a little philosophy.